maintained during the early and mid game in the laning phase. We do see Kroll come through. I do like Kroll. I don't like him this early in the draft, though, especially when you have Kestrel still available. You have a lot of opportunity to think about how Kroll works. Cerberus doesn't really play Kroll. So my question to Secret here is, why pick him so early? Why show it? You can probably last pick it with almost 90 to 95% certainty the Cerberus won't pick it away from you, but it is the direction they go. The Sky comes onto the board.
I feel like the Kroll isn't really denying things that Kroll normally denies either, because in conjunction with Lyra, something like a Sky, which could struggle against a Kroll ordinarily, probably can just navigate around the Bright Bulwark and stay alive for much longer. So, I don't know, it seems a bit strange. And there's the Kestrel as well.
There's the Kestrel. Yeah, you'd expect the Kestrel to come through. The Ringo is also a bit of a more unique pick, so Team Secret's using this opportunity to really just kind of test some stuff out, it looks like.
Yeah, I was wondering if the fact that Adagio's a bit more of a flex pick now, that it allows them to pick up the Kroll and see, you know, maybe they go a direction that allows us to plug it into the roam position a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, maybe just like a research mission from Secret as well, but a bold move to do it down one game in the
Mowgli
series.
is on the Adagio, so...
Well, he must know something we don't really yet, because it's.
Do you want this Kappa tablet when you say that?
You know what? I think I need one, actually.
He keeps doing as well.
All right, let's hop onto the Halcyon Fold, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 2 of Gankstars Cerberus up against Team Secret. Team Secret are down a game. They need to hold it together if they want a chance at the finals this week. Let's pass it on over to the Shoutcasters, Excoundrel and Sona.
Chat.
Thank you so much, guys. Yep, okay, so we've kind of heading back to normality a bit here, Sona, after what was a game that was just essentially trying things out, I guess, a bit is the way that Humanist phrased it, or I believe that was Humanist that said that. What do you think this time round? We're seeing the Cruel for Palatoro. We know Palatoro is a fantastic Cruel player.
Well, we saw Jetpacks play it incredibly well yesterday. If Team Secret can channel their inner Jetpacks and play it as well as he did, they can really make it work. I don't really agree with it being teamed up with something like an Adagio, though. Yes, you get Agent of Wrath, which is strong, but I feel Krull in the current meta, you really need something that's going to enhance his ability to jump on the enemy team. A Lyra, really powerful, or an Arden as well can be really, really strong when you team it up alongside that Krull, because it allows him to get on the backline a lot easier. It means he can stick on top of someone like a Sky. Here, I feel Gankstars, they have the ability to escape from the Krull with the Kestrel and with the Sky, and I think it's going to be really difficult for Team Secret actually to win out these late game fights.
Yeah, I think for sure, but obviously I think Krull is really a mid-game hero in the whole sense of things. So he doesn't actually need anybody apart from a brush to help him get to the position where he's getting onto people. And I actually think Adagio makes it combo with his breaking point, which I'm hoping Palmatoro picks up, or even just the Shiver Steel. It actually accentuates his mid-game prowess. So I think that's something that I would like to see come into effect here. I'm interested to see Kavalafar on Ringo. I really feel like this is a mid to early game orientated team coming through from Team Secret, which I think could be risky, you know. I think if they don't get the ball rolling quickly enough, they're going to really start to struggle.
They definitely are, and something we've seen a lot over the last couple of days as well is the prioritization of taking Adagio away from the enemy team rather than making sure that you have him for your team. And I disagree with it. I don't like Adagio as a roamer. Yes, he can do a little bit of work, and yes, he has got heals, and you can build a bit of health on him, and you can get the Agent of Wrath buff up, but just taking him away from the enemy team isn't enough to make your team win. You need to be playing him in a role where he's strong. Put him in the jungle, put him in the lane. Like here, take Kavalafar off the Ringo, put Adagio in the lane, have Krull Arden as your jungle combination, and that could be so much more powerful, in my opinion, than having this Adagio as a roamer.
I'm totally on board with where you're coming from here, but I feel with I think where you're aiming in terms of winning for Team Secret, Adagio functions as a roamer particularly well. And you know, you're not aiming to get to late game, and we know in late game he doesn't particularly stand out as a roamer per se, but if you're just there to buff your team and try and give you the mid-game prowess that you need, and then snowball off that, I feel like Adagio can fit in quite nicely into this particular scenario. But I don't think it happens like that all of the time, Sona. I don't think that... you know, I think there's a very limited period where this becomes I think the win condition essentially. It's a limited win condition period here.
So if I understand you correctly, you're saying Team Secret have a great mid game, but late game they're going to fall off incredibly hard. Palmator is trying to get onto Techno JJ just for a second. Not going to be able to do too much. Net is actually coming around onto him as well, but he's going to be the target. Palmer's going to try and take him down. Iraqi's coming in from the side. Right, Bulwark comes down, and Palmer will get first blood, but will get taken down straight away afterwards. Techno JJ actually yet to be able to get to a shop, so he's still only sitting on a weapon blade, nowhere near the amount of damage he'd like. In these initial skirmishes. Mowgli's going to be the new target. He steps through a scout trap. Techno's there. He's got the lock on. Kavalifar, new target for them. He's going Crystal for this Ringo, though. Still putting a huge amount of damage down in the early portion of this matchup.
Yeah, and I think he's going alternating current Ringo build.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but Ringo will always have a decent early game regardless of where he decides to run with his build. This adds a little bit of interest to me because it accentuates the late game ability for Team Secret. I was expecting a weapon power Ringo. I was expecting them to just go, all in on that sort of mid game spike and try and win from there. But this adds a little bit of interest, a little bit of intrigue to the late game Team Secret composition, because this now that allows them to focus down that one singular target and focus them down very quickly here, Sona.
Question is, will they be able to do it? Because Iraqi is difficult to focus down if he can get into that active camo before you've got your lock on with the Hellfire Brew. Net Toilet has the Arcane Passage to get himself away. Techno JJ, this guy's always been known as a very mobile hero as well. So if we start seeing Crucibles and Reflex Blocks coming down on Gankstars, I think we might see Team Secret struggling.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if they prioritize early reflex blocks here, then obviously they're going to really start to struggle, because I think Hellfire Brew is going to be a massive impact, and if you manage to stop the burn of Hellfire Brew, you're really cutting off almost the head from the snake in terms of the damage that it can do. But look at that Net Toilet!
Net Toilet will fall to Palmatoro with the Shiver Steel, able to chase him down really quickly. They're on towards that Lyra. However, still a slight gold lead for Gankstars because of their CS advantage in the lane, and in, well, ever so slightly in the jungle by 1. Techno able to get that Treant away. Palmer's going to take away the back camps here. Try and do a little bit of counter jungling of his own to deny Gankstars that slight gold advantage that they have.
So I really like the build coming out from Palmatoro here. He said, obviously, I know that the damage that I do is going to be incredibly important. A lot of this is going to be reliant on my ability to build weakness stacks, rely on my ability to build those and get a very, very big smite through at the end of the day as well. So he's going straight from Shiver Steel into Breaking Point here, which is super important for me. I think that's an incredibly important decision, because he's going to combo with the spike of this alternating current. They're going to continue to put down that damage. And obviously that they're not going to allow Gankstars Cerberus room to breathe. And I think it's the important part here, so don't allow Gankstars Cerberus the room to breathe. They don't really have that much of a hard counter to Cruel apart from that Bright Bulwark, but if they can get around that, then they're really starting to enter territories where they're going to start running away with this. They don't have the Lance. Lance is a fantastic pick into the Cruel specifically, because he could just knock them away with the Githian Wall, and that's kind of stops Cruel in his tracks. Yes, Bright Bulwark is good, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Cruel can sometimes find a way around that.
Well, let's talk about itemization choices in this early portion of this matchup. You've got an Eve of Harvest first on Techno JJ, so he's obviously really, really worried about that Cruel, and at the moment it should be Net being worried about Palmatoro. Verse comes down, Palmer's going to try and chase on towards that Lyra, but not able to get onto him. There is the forward barrage as well. One shot, one kill hits onto Mowgli. Hellfire onto Techno JJ. The Gankstars should be able to get away from this one. Kavalifar's looking for the chase onto Iraqi Zoro, but all of Gankstars are still alive and able to get underneath the safety of their turret.
Yeah, and that was very close. I think Palmatoro was looking for the execute, but didn't quite manage to make it happen. Kavalifar has used Hellfire Brew, so the From Hell's Heart is still available though. So if Gankstars do overstep here, they may feel safe after that engage, and Palmatoro might have to catch someone by surprise with that From Hell's Heart.
Definitely his intention. Net popped the Bright Bulwark to stop him being able to run in there. That means it's on a 15-second cooldown though. And it looks like Team Secret are not happy to give up this fight just quite yet. Here comes Palmer from the side on towards Techno JJ, but he gets melted away. Just way too aggressive from Palmatoro on that Cruel. Nowhere near tanky enough to fight up against that one. Iraqi's going to see if he can chase down Kavalifar. Forward barrage onto Mowgli. Not quite going to be enough to take down the Adagio, but they do push Team Secret back away from their turret.
So the one issue with the Team Secret composition is it's kind of one-dimensional and kind of centered around Cruel. Now, Cruel is going to be the guy that really forms the main win condition, I would say, for Team Secret. He's going to need to get onto his target of either Kestrel or Sky start applying weakness stacks and combo that with Kavalafar's Crystal Power Ringo. The one problem that lies therein is that if he can't do that, then he's going to get kited for days by this Kestrel and Sky, and can't. Although Bright Bulwark can be kind of gotten around, it does throw a huge spanner in his ability to run directly at his target, which in a lot of cases is exactly what Cruel does. You're really, at this point, relying on a very good From Hell's Heart, but Gankstars Cerberus...
The turret will fall for Team Secret, but Mowgli will fall in response. Gankstars should be able to chase him down pretty easily, as he leads them away from the rest of his team. They do get the turret, though, so Team Secret will happily take this trade. Techno eventually taking down the Adagio himself. He's looking towards a Broken Myth as his next item. Iraqi gone down this weapon power Kestrel route, scouting out with a one-shot, one-kill to make sure the gold mine wasn't going down for Team Secret.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get this gold mine fairly readily and handily here. And again, this is another problem, because I feel like Team Secret were happy to have traded that, but they haven't really gained much out of it because they gave the gold mine up in response as well. You know, you happily trade one kill for a turret pretty much any time of the day, as long as you're not losing other global objectives. But the gold mine there just basically applies a small band-aid to Gankstars Cerberus, and they're just, you know, happy to continue from this point forward.
So they should be. I mean, for me, I actually think Gankstars have this one if they get past about the 12-minute mark without losing too much to Team Secret. Kavalafar, the target death from above, is going to come down. He's going to step through that. The burst coming out from Mowgli will lock up Gankstars, but From Hell's Heart is actually only going to connect on towards Net Toilet for Barrage once again from Techno JJ, just pushing Palmatoro away. And Team Secret lose their captain once again.
Team Secret, again, just unfortunately getting caught out. They need to be the ones to initiate the fight. They do not do well in a counter engage unless the From Hell's Heart lands and they turn things around. Remember, Cruel really needs A, War Treads, or B, a Brush to make a turnaround happen. He can't just do it himself, especially into a Sky who hasn't yet built Frostburn but could be thinking about it down the line. And a Kestrel who, without Reflex Block, he has got Aegis, but obviously you know, it's sometimes quite difficult to block out the active camo stun. If you run straight at these two, to be honest, you're going to get kited for days. So realistically, Team Secret need to be the one having the pressure. They need to be the ones looking for the engage. Palmatoro, whoa, steps right in there, forced to pop the boots already, and that kind of gimps his now ability to function in a teamfight situation.
Well, it's an interesting point you made about War Treads, because yesterday we saw Jetpacks actually prioritizing War Treads, getting that first in both of his games on Cruel. And it worked out really well for him because he was able to get onto the enemy backline. The question is, into a Lyra with Bright Bulwark, you're always going to get slowed unless Gankstars are the ones doing the engaging, or unless Palmatoro can get a really good flank off. And I have to feel that Cruel into this composition really isn't the best pick in the world. Full Barrage comes out once again on towards Mowgli. Palmer takes a bit of damage as well. Here comes Techno JJ with a chase. Another forward barrage down. Palmer's going to have to try and run away. He's gone for his Aegis as his second item, so trying to get himself a little bit more tanky, but not getting up towards that breaking point just quite yet.
So the issue with Cruel, and this is the problem that I've always had, and I think the early pick of Cruel in the draft was again an interesting one, like Fuji said. Cruel is very good into a singular target that you are worried about. Into a double target, it's a lot more difficult to make Cruel work, because then you have to start prioritizing defense, then you lose a lot of your damage, and once you get through that mid game, Cruel becomes less and less threatening and becomes more of an ability, a guy that stacks up those weaknesses to gimp the enemy as opposed to make yourself that much more powerful. You know, I think everyone would agree in the late game, Cruel is mainly there to reduce the damage of a hyper carry, for instance. But when you've got two real threats to worry about, Cruel then becomes a lot less effective. And you can see here, he's really struggling to either get into the fray of things or even figure out who to focus. I mean, do you focus at this point Iraqi Zoro? Do you focus Techno JJ? It's a real question that you have to consider, and especially since Kavalafar is making a single target.
With the Crucible there by Net Toilet. Hellfire Brew will follow it up, but Mowgli taking a lot of pain. Kavalafar trying to position off towards the side to see what he can do. Mowgli has to pop the fountain, tries to keep himself alive, but it's not enough, and he will fall. And now Gankstars looking for that turret kill as well. Push themselves even further in the gold lead for Barrage when Techno once again knows Palmatoro has no way of sticking on him, assuming he has that Lyra and the backline for him. And Gankstars once again able to take a commanding lead in this game.
Yeah, they're looking very solid right now. And again, I think it's purely come down to compositional errors coming out from Team Secret. That early prioritization of Cruel isn't so good into a double threat. You've got a very single target heavy focused team with the Crystal Power Ringo as well. I almost feel like going Weapon Power Ringo and just saying, well, we need to win at mid game. We need to just try and play on those spikes. Let's not go any defense. Let's prioritize breaking point. That could have been a better option for them. But you get towards the late game, I traditionally think they just lose here.
I have to agree with you, Scoundrel. It's not something I like doing, but it's something I have to do in this case. Otherwise, I fear the wrath of Twitch chat rain down upon me. In the same way that Gankstars Cerberus are currently raining on the parade of Team Secret, you know, they got second place in the Summer Live Championships, and since then they really haven't quite looked the strategic powerhouse that they used to be. Perhaps it's just taking them a little bit of time to settle back into their roles, or taking them a little bit of time to work out what went wrong at Live Championships, because for them, second place is just not good enough. You know, they were 3 times champions, they were looking for the Grand Slam, they weren't quite able to take it, but Gankstars have stepped up this game, they've stepped up their draft phase, and Team Secret have been left wanting thus far in the second game of the best of 3.
Yeah, they've been left wanting, I think, for a large portion of this weekend, to be honest. I don't feel like they've looked like the same Team Secret that we previously knew them to be. I definitely think they need to rethink their drafting and what kind of compositions that they're choosing to run, because this feels almost one-dimensional from Team Secret, and it looks like, well, honestly, it looks like Gankstars have their number in almost every situation here. Palmotoro just has not been as impactful as think he would have hoped to have been. Only just picked up the breaking point, but we're 14 minutes into the game now. I mean, how is he even going to be able to start to use this despite Gankstars Cerberus having to make a mistake here?
I really do think part of it is the inability for him to get on towards that backline, and this will actually be only the third time a blue side team, a Team A side, has won a game this weekend. It's always been red side winning. G2 bucked the trend twice, winning against Snow Avalanche yesterday and then winning earlier on in the first semi-final as well. And it looks like Gankstars are trying to buck it as well. Team Secret are going to try and stop this Kraken though. Palmotoro trying to get on towards that backline, but he's stunned up straight away. Has to try and heal himself up through those auto attacks. Hellfire brew onto Net Toilette, but that's only the roam you've taken down. And Iraqi Zoe and Techno JJ still left alive to do all they can for the Cavalifar. One shot, one kill connects. Now Mowgli all by himself. If this was a Crystal Power Adagio, I might fear for Techno or Iraqi Zoe, but it's all roam all the time. And it's Gankstars Cerberus taking the ace once more.
Gankstars Cerberus again taking the 8th. This should be the series as well for them. I really don't see many ways that Team Secret make their way back into this.
Palmotoro is up in 3 seconds, so it's not quite going to be the game yet. But
but I mean, I'm talking about this in sort of categorical projection of the events following this. Not sure many ways that Team Secret find their way back in. I feel like they're too single target focused. Even if they choose to focus one of the threats, they have to instantaneously burst them to then just somehow negotiate directly onto another threat. And that's so hard with Bright Bulwark and the portal from Lyra as well. I said that, you know, Cruel probably could get through that portal of Lyra, but I feel like, or rather the Bright Bulwark of Lyra, I feel like that was earlier on. I feel like it's becoming less and less feasible for that to happen as the game progresses, because the cooldown is going down so much.
Gankstars once again looking for a fight. They know they've got Team Secret on the ropes and they want to put them down for the count. Mowgli will step in. Palmotoro tries to get in from the side. Great block from Hell's Heart, but Palmer still quite alive in this fight. Not for long. They're going for Net first once again. The Lyra will go down, but Cavalifar and Mowgli now need to fight up in a 2v1. Well, it's a 2v none now, because Gankstars Cerberus, it's a triple for Iraqi Zoe and another ace for Gankstars.
Well, this should be game now, Sona. Surely the series going over with both damage dealers left available. They should be able to very easily take down these turrets. And Gankstars Cerberus looking very solid against Team Secret, and they'll be facing G2 in the finals. Can you believe it? You're seeing Team Secret for the first time in a very long time not win an Evil 8 split.
I feel this was almost a prophetic nature of the Summer Championships, though, because both Gankstars and G2 did get to the semi-finals there. And they're the teams that have adapted. They're the teams that have changed in 122. They've both, well, we've seen Baron played from G2, so we know they're on the forefront of draft and decision-making. And Gankstars here really showed up against Team Secret as well. I have to admit, I think Team Secret were a little bit weak. I don't think they played anywhere near to their normal strength, but credit to Gankstars, they played incredibly well and are going through the finals of the first week of the autumn European Evil 8 split.
Yeah, congratulations to them. They looked very good. Gankstars Cerberus, I think their composition was just far better. I feel like it was too one-dimensional.